Hi, I see people starting to show up. This is exciting. We've got Andrea, Boston, Brooke, Elizabeth, Ella, Ellie, Emma, Ellie. Oh, no, sorry, Evan, Jenna, Jennifer. So a lot of people, Catherine, Kelly, people we've seen the last few times, Kristen, Naomi, and Seth, and some new ones. Welcome. We're so glad you guys would come tonight. Hopefully Wednesday nights are now your favorite, most exciting night of the week, right? Jennifer, hello. Okay, it's 6 o'clock. So let me, for those of you who are new, let me tell you how this works. And if you've been here before, hopefully it will be a good reminder. But we are super excited for our Wednesday webinars. Every month, the first Wednesday of the month, we'll have a new author on. And tonight is the amazing Shelly X Leonn. And I will, yes, she's amazing. For some of you saw her take over Instagram. Was it last week?
Yeah, last Monday with my stepdaughter.
Yeah, and she was so much fun. So for those of you who saw that, I'm sure you're excited. She's always a lot of fun to listen to. But come back the first Wednesday of every month. We'll have a new author on, and at the end of this webinar, we're going to do a giveaway. This is Shelly's latest book. She has, oh, look at that. That's so fun.
It was a present it was a Christmas present from my sister. You can do this. You can get these done with any book, I guess.
That's so
Oh, I can't dress for the occasion.
She's like wearing her own billboard.
Yep.
Advertisement.
So, like, oh, this book, let me tell you about it. Let me just show it off a little bit.
Well, that is a perfect segue. Shelly, will you tell them a little bit about this book?
Yeah, sure. So that is The Ghost and the Wolf. It is the first in a trilogy of the Broken series. It's about a group of teenagers who get into urban exploration, and they end up kind of starting their own organization for that, but it gets taken over by people who shouldn't be doing those kinds of things. And things go downhill very, very quickly. It's a young adult mystery thriller, lots of violence, action, romance, all that good stuff. So
all the good stuff.
All that good stuff. Creepiness.
Creepiness, so good. Will you tell them, for those who don't know, what urban exploration is?
Yeah, urban exploration is finding abandoned places, usually buildings, and exploring them. The practice is considered illegal most of the time. I do consider myself an urban explorer, but with permission. So I got into it and started researching it because it's something that I'm very passionate about history and finding beauty in the broken is the catchphrase from the book. So
awesome. And it's amazing. So we'll give away 3 copies of this at the end. So stick around. And I think this time what we're going to do is I'm going to ask questions from the presentation. So pay attention and you could win a copy of Shelly's book. And so exciting, I know, right? So for those of you who haven't been here before, feel free to chat as we go, but save your questions for the end. There's a Q&A box. You can put your questions in as we go so you don't forget them, but we'll come to those at the end. So Shelly has a chance to say her webinar uninterrupted, and then we'll come to the questions at the end. So it's going to be a lot of fun, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about Shelly, and then we will get going. The first thing that I think you should know is that Shelly has a doctorate degree. She is a doctor. So she is very, very smart. Not that you have to have a doctorate to be smart, but she's smart and has one. So I think that's super impressive. And she's also got a background in journalism, which I think a lot of you will find interesting. So she didn't start writing novels. She started with journalism, which I think is really fascinating. So those are 2 really cool things about her. And Um, so the other cool thing about her is that she spent 12 years in the education system. So teaching and being an administrator in high schools and middle schools. Is that right?
Yeah, yep.
Okay, so
Eighth grade and freshman year, and then pretty much everything above and below, but most of the time was eighth graders and freshmen.
awesome. So
Now I teach grown people. Now I'm a professor.
yeah. So she has done everything that makes her smart and amazing and a great author. Um, the other thing I think
Now
is
I'm
fun.
blushing.
I know you should. The other thing that's really cool is Shelly has a podcast about writing and she interviews other awesome writers. So there's a lot of really cool things about her. I think you'll find her a really fun and interesting teacher. And I'm excited about her topic tonight. So I will go ahead and let her introduce that. And again, if you have questions, put them in the Q&A and we'll come to them and pay attention because we have cool giveaways. And Shelly, I will turn the time over to you.
Awesome. All right. Thank you so much. I'm terrible at multitasking, so just kind of reiterating what was said, like I'm seeing questions fly by. I have like a very small brain when it comes to like presenting. Like I have to like focus on what I'm saying or I will lose track and I will like go down all kinds of rabbit holes. So if you have questions for me, try to save them for just a little bit, but feel free to chat with each other as much as you want. All right, let me go ahead and get our screen share going here. All right, cool. All righty. So, this is a topic near and dear to my heart. And for anybody who was checking out part of my crazy day when we did the Teen Author Bootcamp takeover, that's where I got this idea. So I'm gonna kind of just talk about something that I think that we as creatives think is just something that happens by magic, and that's a shower moment, right? It's not magic. And today we're going to really focus in on what does it mean to find those bolts of inspiration and how can we make more of them happen. So the session is shower moments and other muses, finding inspiration in a crazy world, which I think calling the world crazy is very appropriate today. You see my pen name, Shelly X Leonn. I write my fiction under my pen name, but then all my teacher stuff and professor stuff I do under the government name. So here's going to be our plan. We're going to go through a warm up. I'll quickly I mean, I already had a blush inducing introduction, but just make sure you guys kind of see where I'm coming from about myself. We're going to then define shower moments. So what are they? We'll look at the concept of muses throughout the ages. So the idea of the shower moment, the bolt of inspiration, that's not something that's new. Like this is something that artists have been experiencing since they started creating art. So we'll talk about that. Then we're gonna do a little bit of brain science, just a little bit, okay? If you weren't here for science class, don't worry. I am not certified to teach science, but we are gonna actually talk about what happens in your brain when you are inspired, because this is science. Then we're going to think about why we need these shower moments. Why are these things that matter so much to a lot of creative people? And then we're going to make a toolkit, create your own space for shower moments. And we'll have some time for questions at the end. All right, so I would like to get us warmed up with some, too fast, with some responses. Take 2.5 minutes, I will be timing you, to think about your most recent shower moment or other moment that you felt a sudden inexplicable bolt of inspiration. What was your insight and what did you do with it? So I'm going to be watching the chat. I'm going teacher mode and actually setting my timer here. Evan says, this is a hard one. Doesn't have to necessarily be in the shower, right? Just anytime you've been doing something else and it's just, here we go, now they're coming. Here they come. My friend and I got an idea to write a story together with two different magical worlds that collide. And we started writing the story like right there in the moment. That is cool. New Year's, remembering my friend's story that she wrote but then deleted. I do that sometimes. I'll be like with friends just talking, and all of a sudden it's like a few lyrics. Somebody came up with a few lyrics during half decent melodies. Yeah, I have a friend who's buddies with a lot of musicians. She says that like all of her musician buddies will sometimes have like water tracks leading from the shower to the piano because they'll have these sudden like explosions of idea when they're in the shower and they just have to hurry to the piano. Everybody in the world. Ooh, cool. Somebody's in the bathroom, had an idea about everyone being asleep. Ooh, someone pointing out that they get the shower moments, but they don't know what to really do with them. Like, what do you do after you get them? Right, going to bed. That's a big one for a lot of people. Okay, cool. There's a ton more. We can definitely share more as we get, if we get time toward the end. And I want to hear your voices too, because I think we can do like hands up and voices toward the end. So we'll keep going through those. Thank you guys so much. I love seeing all this inspiration. Sounds like you guys definitely know what I'm talking about. So really quickly, just to add a little bit about me, like I have my undergrad in journalism. So that's where my background comes from. And it's how I approach writing, right? It's like the world is something to be examined and interpreted, and then you create the stories from that, right? I did work at a newspaper for a while, and then I was in teaching. And then I worked on my dissertation. So I spent a whole lot of time. For any of you who know anybody who's done a thesis or a dissertation, you know it takes a lot of time, right? But it also forces you to make like a routine. Like I have to be writing this much every day. So when I finished my dissertation, I was like, well, shoot, I'm already in the routine of writing. I want to write something for me. And that's when I started writing fiction. And I started by posting it all on Wattpad. And then I got discovered. And then I was signed. So a little bit about me. And that's my albino corn snake baby. That is Zio. Sometimes I hold her when I write. So I just wanted to show you guys a picture of her. She's awesome. I talked to you guys about the trilogy. I've also, Owl Hollow is going to be publishing my YA psychological horror in spring 2022 called Cabin Redemption. Anthologies, we've got one ranking on Amazon right now. It's through Hypothesis Productions. It's young adult science fiction fantasy. So if you're into that kind of stuff, check it out. And yeah, that's what I do. Blogs, podcasts, teacher stuff. And I'm also working on other things. Aren't we all? All right, so what are shower moments? We're gonna go ahead and I'm gonna show you guys where I actually got this idea for today's session. I had a shower moment, and in that moment, it became another shower moment of doing a presentation. So can you guys hear that? I don't know if you can or not. I don't think, I'm gonna try it like this. I'm gonna check the chat. Nope. Everybody's saying nope. That's fine. So I'll just close it out. It's not a big deal. Part of my teen author bootcamp takeover was first thing in the morning. Like I was supposed to make like this, very formal introduction video. Like I had this whole plan. And I started my day by taking a shower because I didn't want to be nasty for my big day, right? And I had a shower moment, and I'm like, this has got to go on it. So that video is on the Teen Author Bootcamp Instagram page. And I basically just said, like, when I have a shower moment, I find myself coming to conclusions that I might have already been really close to. But then there's something about having your mind off of the problem that allows you to think about it in a new way and draw those pieces together. So what are we saying a shower moment is? For the context of this, we are calling it an aha moment or creative epiphany that occurs during some other activity not related to the topic of your epiphany. So going back to my buddy who has the friends who are musicians, these musicians are going through their morning routine, taking their shower, and then boom, something clicks in terms of a melody. And they will literally dry themselves off, throw on some clothes, and have a water trail leading to their piano, right? Or in my case, boom, something that I've been trying to figure out with my plot suddenly makes sense, and I go and I start scribbling in one of my notebooks that I keep here at my desk. By the way, I'm not making this up. There are sources. I was an English teacher for 12 years, y'all. So this is like, there are going to be experts that are cited here, okay? So if you're curious as to where I got any of this information, there is a sources slide that I will be showing later. All right, so what is a muse? You might have heard like, oh, she's my muse, or like a muse visited me. These are phrases that we still use quite frequently. And then Muse is also the name of my sister's favorite band. She has seen them live twice, and I'm very jealous. So what is a muse? In mythology, the muses were 9 goddesses who symbolized the arts and sciences. Today, a muse is a person who serves as an artist's inspiration, right? So we tend to use it in 2 different contexts. This idea of a muse. Today, artists, when they're talking about muses, will say kind of 2 different things. First, they might say, oh, well, she is my muse. He is my muse. This means that this person is beautiful, or you have some kind of infatuation, and therefore that relationship and those feelings is creating creativity. I'm more talking about the second use of the word muse, where you say, oh, a muse visited me, or I want my muse to come back, right? That's this idea that it feels almost like a religious experience when you have these sudden bolts of inspiration that just hit you, right? It feels almost like it's something from another world. So that is something that people have been talking about for a very long time. So now we're going to get to the more sciencey stuff. So these shower moments, it's not because of goddesses, at least we don't think so. And it's also not the rhythm of the water. This was what I was told when I was younger. I've been writing short stories since I was a wee little thing, you know, trying to write all kinds of creepy things since I was in like 3rd grade, right? And so I've been having shower moments ever since I've been able to write a story. And I had a music teacher tell me, I used to play music. I'm not any good anymore. Don't even ask me what I used to play. It's not worth talking about, okay? But I had a music teacher tell me that like the rhythm of the water, like it creates like a pattern of sound. And that is what like helps your brain think, but that's not true either. Because if that were true, shower moments would only happen in showers, and they don't. So there's been quite a bit of research on this. I'm going to flip to the sources slide for just a second and then come back just to prove to you guys that I did actually look this stuff up and I'm not just talking out of my whatever. This one right here, this Dr. Shelly Carson article is fantastic. It was actually cited in some journals, which like as a professor, it's like, you know, it's good. That means it's good stuff to check out. And then Mental Floss, Time Magazine, and Psychology Today were some of the sources that I used for this. So in order to have a shower moment or an aha moment, you need 3 things. You need to be distracted. It's not going to happen when you're sitting here trying to bang away at a computer and trying to write. Okay. Secondly, you need to be relaxed. Like you cannot be stressed out. You cannot be on your phone watching all like doom scrolling all the headlines, right? It's not gonna happen. And also maybe a little bit tired. Now this is delicate, okay? Because there are things that need to happen in the brain that are only possible when it's more relaxed, maybe a little bit tired. But if you're super tired, obviously nothing's going to happen. Like when I first wake up, don't even bother talking to me for at least 15 minutes. Then I start to get moving. So why are these the 3 ingredients to a shower moment? First of all, when you're relaxed, it releases dopamine. Dopamine is real. The word dopamine, you probably hear it, at least I do. People say, oh my gosh, I have to get my fix of social media dopamine, right? Like many of the social media apps that we are addicted to, they are created in a way that they release the chemical dopamine in our brain, which is like the feel good chemical, the reward chemical. But when you're relaxed, more of that dopamine is going to come out, right? Dopamine helps creativity and makes you feel good. Also, when you're a little bit tired and you're relaxed, you're going to be turning off the prefrontal cortex. The prefrontal cortex part of the brain is like your command center. It's the one that bosses all the other parts of the brain around, right? And we need it. It's awesome. It's wonderful when it comes to like, I work for a nonprofit and I write a lot of grants. And when I'm trying to figure out like, okay, what are we applying for next? And what's the calendar going to be? And what's the first step? And I got to put all this in the tracker. Like that's all prefrontal cortex. That's my type A organization stuff, like boom, 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 boom. But that doesn't always mean that that's aligned to my creativity. Instead, we need to be able to turn off the prefrontal cortex and turn on something called the default mode network, almost like the brain's background, almost like things that happen when the prefrontal cortex is taking a break. Much more conducive to creativity, much more conducive to problem solving, not the kind of problem solving that I tend to do for my job, which is very like, get it done, type A, to-do list, but creative problem solving, looking at things in a different way. Like, all right, maybe I've been looking at this problem like this, but when I'm examining it with my default mode network, maybe now I can look at it like this, I can look at it like this, I can look at it like this, or I can look at it like this, right? All right, fact. This made me feel really good. I cannot tell. Okay, I'm going to tell you guys a story as to why I put this in bold on the bottom. Fact, smart people are easily distracted. You guys, my family, I have a crazy family. None of them are here right now, or I would totally like make them come over. They're all nuts. And they make fun of me constantly because I forget things all the time. The running gag is I was on vacation with them one time. I don't know how many of you are from the Midwest, but like we went to Lake of the Ozarks, which is like, it's not even a real lake. It's a man-made lake and there's like spas and like boating and stuff you can do out there, right? And so we were like doing a weekend little girls getaway out there and I forgot my underwear. True story. And so now that's the catchphrase they use. They're like, Shelly, how are you so smart? By the way, that's why I use Shelly for my pen name, because that's like the only name in my family. They never call me Michelle unless they're mad at me. It's always Shelly. They're like, Shelly, how are you so smart, but you forget your underwear? Like, that's like, I've been hearing it now for years and years and years. And it is because of, this is what I say. It's like, well, that's because smart people are easily distracted. And now there is actually research to back this up, that the concept of creativity doesn't always happen in a linear fashion. It doesn't always happen in forms of a checklist. It doesn't always happen in forms of a to-do list. Sometimes creation and creativity can look like a whole bunch of different things at the same time. And sometimes our brains might be able to put those pieces together when we're doing something else. So my joke is always, well, I forget my underwear or I lose my keys because like my brain's doing other stuff all the time. It's not my fault. And now I have research to back it up, and so do you. All right. So these are some questions that you might be having right now. Now, I try to, as best I can, like think about like what kinds of questions my audience might have. Obviously, if I don't address your question, hold it for now. Okay, so these questions you might be reading and be like, nope, none of these address what I want to know. That's cool. Hold on to it. What about writer's block? This is a question I get from a lot of writers, and I actually get it from my graduate students as well. Like, what do you do when you have writer's block? And I tell them, I don't. I don't do anything. Like, if I have writer's block, that means something's wrong. That means that my creativity, for some reason, has dried up. I don't have a fresh approach. And that's where you have to ask yourself, am I going to keep looking at this problem and trying to attack it head on? Or am I going to go around it or through it or under it or above it? You don't have to keep bashing your head into the block. The whole concept of the shower moment is saying that sometimes we explore these problems through the lens of creativity, and we acknowledge that not everything has to be solved in that moment in a linear fashion. sometimes truly creative solutions can't be solved that way. So writer's block is normal. It just means that you've hit a point where you're not sure what to write next. Okay. What are you going to do about it? There's nothing scary about a writer's block, just like there's nothing magical about a shower moment. I think if we can take these terms away, remove them, like everybody's like, when do you get writer's block? I'm like, I don't. Sometimes I kind of run out of stuff to write, and then I'll go walk my dog or wash the dishes, and then stuff starts clicking again. That's just part of writing, right? I mean, my sister, she's a cosmetologist. She's like a really, I'm not just saying this because she's my sister. You guys can go check on my Instagram. She's incredible. She's like a special effects makeup artist. Like sometimes she runs out of ideas. She doesn't view that as like, oh no, my art is dead forever. It's just, she needs to go find more inspiration or step away from it for a while. That's okay. What about hard work and focus? This is something else that has been in a lot of research lately, something that a lot of teachers are talking about, how because of our, dopamine addicted social media culture, we are losing. Now, I'm not saying just young people, okay? I'm talking to everybody. I teach adults, so I'm talking from experience. This is not just a young people problem, I promise. So this concept of hard work and focus, is it becoming harder for us to focus for long periods of time because we're also used to the instant little thing called instant gratification of the phone, right? Like getting everything in these little sound bites. I love TikTok, but you don't have to think when you're on TikTok. It's just constant dopamine hit, dopamine hit, dopamine hit, right? So is there still a place for hard work and focus? I think you have to have the hard work and focus to have the shower moment. I think they have to go hand in hand. There has to be times where you're putting all your attention and focus into it, and then you have to know when to back up, see it in a broader perspective, and then go back in and hone in, right? So, you talk about forest, you got to see the forest for the trees. You have to be able to do both. Hard work and focus, to me, that's like focusing in on those trees. Like, here's the tree that I'm going to knock out today. Not that I'm into cutting down trees, but this is just my metaphor. So just work with it. Like, I'm going to focus all my attention right here today, and this is what I'm going to accomplish. But then you have to be able to back out and look at the whole forest. There has to be energy, time, place, and talent for both in any writer. Are all ideas good ones? No. So this was something else that was coming out about this same research, the same research that was talking about the distractions that happen for, quote, smart people or creative people, the importance of turning off the prefrontal cortex. All of this same research was saying that, like, some of our greatest innovators in history have a lot of bad ideas. Like, just because you have a shower moment doesn't mean it's a good one. My shower moments, honestly, usually they're pretty good, but it's my dreams. Like, I have some crazy dreams, and sometimes I'll wake up from my dream and be like, oh man, that would be such a cool book. And then I like wake up some more and I like think through it. It's like, no, actually that's trash. That's either been done 20 times or it just doesn't make sense. Right. So there's nothing wrong with having ideas. You want ideas, but you also don't want to think just because you have an idea that it's automatically gold. You have to be able to, like I said, forest trees. Maybe you come up with these big ideas, but then when you start to examine them, which can you truly start to focus on and develop in the way that it deserves to be developed. Mindfulness. I wanted to touch on this very, very briefly. This could very much be its own webinar, because, we're talking about thinking and the brain and relaxation, and mindfulness to me is a topic that just naturally goes along with those. Mindfulness is being aware of how you think and being able to take control of that, especially as it relates to the health and wellness of your mental state. Mindfulness, I think, is necessary if you're going to be able to master the ability to work hard and focus at some points, and then also back up and see the entire forest and to have those shower moments. Because if you are letting stress take over the brain, you're not going to be getting the same kind of dopamine, and you're not going to be able to turn on that default mode network. This is brain science. A stressed brain is usually not a creative brain. And if you're stressed, that's where you have to say, what can I do to try to retrain my brain to not be feeling that as often? So when is distraction not a good thing? Obviously, like, this kind of also goes into that hard work and focus thing. I am not in any way saying that it's good to always be distracted. It's not good that I lose my keys and my underwear, people. I need to be organized. I actually have systems in place. So this right here is my little my planner book. I'm a nerd. I don't like maintain my schedule on my phone because there's actually been research about physically writing things down. It helps your brain process it in a different way. So if you've ever wondered, like, when you're taking notes for a class, why do I remember it better when I write it down as opposed to just typing it? This is actually true for most people because the act of physically writing, you process it in a different way. So I actually write out all my plans for a day, for the week, for the month, whatever. I have like my own little planner that I ordered on Amazon. And I do that so that I stay organized, because being distracted all the time and kind of being lost in the creative ether, I wouldn't get anything done. And I do, like, I have a job, multiple jobs, and I want to make sure my responsibilities are met, right? Okay, so all this talk about shower moments and mindfulness and creative bolts of inspiration, like, why is any of this important? This is a topic that is very important to me because I have a very, very dear friend. Those of you who are on Wattpad at all know what a Wattie is. So she's a Wattie winner, and she's a Wattpad star, and my best friend in the whole world. And she was not having the best 2020 for a lot of reasons. She had her first baby, which was wonderful. Everything's great. But in the middle of a pandemic, right? So you can imagine what that was like, trying to get all that done at the hospital. And she found herself not feeling as creative as she normally is. This is a woman who has created multiple planets. I don't know how people like her write sci-fi. I'm like, I can't do that much world building. She's created multiple alien races on separate planets and spaceship models and the whole history. She's insane, right? But this year, she's found that some of that creative fountain that she normally is drinking from has been a bit dry. And I think that is happening because we were all under new stressors in 2020. And a brain that is stressed is not going to have some of the conditions that are favorable for creativity or for shower moments, right? I know when I'm talking for myself here, when I'm stressed out, I don't have bolts of creativity. That's usually when my cycles of doubt start kicking in, right? Like, I can't write. I'm never going to get this done. There's no way any of this is ever going to make sense. This is all stupid, right? Like, that's when all that just starts. And once that starts, forget it. Like, you're not going to be visited by any muses anytime soon. So that's why mindfulness matters, right? This is why you have to ask yourself, like, why am I thinking this way? What can I do to further my own self-confidence, and most importantly, take that stress out of the brain so that you can be focused when you need to be, and thinking broadly and having those bolts of inspiration when they come to you. All right, let's take some time now to come up with your own routines for shower moments. So, quick review. We said that a shower moment or aha moment, whatever you want to call it. I say shower moment because my most powerful ones happen in the shower every time. So you call it what you want. But usually we're looking at 3 ingredients. Number 1, distracted. So you cannot usually These bolts of inspiration don't happen when you're actually engaged in the activity. So doing something else, going through a routine, something that is rote, right? Something that you normally, you don't have to necessarily think about it while you're doing it. You don't think about the process of doing the dishes, right? You've probably done it so many times, you don't have to think it through. For me, yoga also is one, but that's only because I've been doing yoga a while. When I first started yoga, I had to have 110% of my concentration on, wait a second, downward dog, and now we go up into our toes, and now we shift into plank, and then we go back. Like, it was so much to try to train my body to move that way. But now I have those movements down. Most of the time. I'm still kind of a disaster. I'm not saying I'm good at yoga by any means. I mean, I don't have to consciously think about those moves. Like when the instructor says downward dog, I know what that looks like, right? So I can be distracted while doing yoga. So you need to be thinking about things that you do where you can be distracted, relaxed, and maybe a little bit tired. Create the space for more shower moments. You can't force them, right? But you can create favorable conditions for them to happen. I would like for you to take a couple minutes to write down 3 activities in your life that can be shower moments. Consider how these activities match the formula. So I actually have my examples on the next slide, but I don't want to influence your answers. So I'm going to go into the chat. I'm going to see some of the things that you guys are coming up with. I haven't had a chance to look at it at all, so maybe I've completely lost you guys. Walking, yep. Watching movies, washing the dishes, cleaning my car, art, dishes, driving, almost sleeping, cleaning the bathroom, jogging, yep. Folding laundry, that's a big one for me too. I cannot crochet, but more power to you. That's cool. I wish I could do that. Laying in bed before going to sleep. That's a big one for a lot of people. Not for me, I just go to sleep, but a lot of people do that. Hand washing, yeah, like we've all been doing a lot of that, right? Babysitting, just make sure you're paying attention to the kids if you're babysitting. I don't know if brushing teeth is long enough. I would have to really be like brushing my teeth for a long time. A lot of people talking to themselves in the mirror, like that helps you come to conclusions that maybe you're already close to having. That's cool. I can't go to sleep unless I make a story and then have inspiration. Emma, you must be a very productive person. Free writing, yep. Okay, so here's mine. Sounds like you guys, already hit on most of these. Cleaning, but again, it depends on the cleaning. Sometimes if it's like the whole house cleaning and I have to like figure out like, all right, what am I going to clean first? Like I'm not truly distracted, but if it's that rote kind of stuff that I do all the time, like sweeping is a good one for me. Folding laundry, somebody mentioned that, that's a big one for me. I already talked about yoga. Again, when I first started yoga, there's no way it would have ever been an aha moment opportunity, but now like I'm used to the movements and I can think while I'm doing them. I also, she's in the other room, otherwise I would have her come say hi. I have an 85-pound lab mix and she's really fat and out of shape, so I walk her a lot. So I have shower moments when I'm walking my doggo. And obviously in the shower, like I've been saying. Okay, let me take a look here. I take my dog on walks. I always wonder if other people hear me. Reading other books, true. Alrighty. So again, I would encourage you guys to check out some of these articles. I wanted to really show you the hidden secrets of the creative mind. Innovation requires no special thought process as an expert. Creative people just work harder at it. I would totally encourage you to check this out if you're wondering, like, this is the brain on creativity. Like, what does this look like? I thought this was really, really cool. I'm just going to read this one part very, very quickly. Has the new wave of research upended any of our popular notions about creativity? So I'm going to pause for a second and say something that, like, a lot of my students used to say to me, and honestly, adults say it too. They just say it slightly different. Kids would say, I can't write, or I just don't have any good ideas. Or some people can just like come up with stories all the time. That's not me. Adults say, I've never been a writer, or I've never been someone who's good at that, right? That's not how we should be thinking about creativity or creation at all. This says, has there been a new wave of research upending our popular notions, such as some people are creative and some aren't? This is saying virtually all of them. Many people believe creativity comes in a sudden moment of insight, and that this magical burst of an idea is a different mental process from our everyday thinking. But extensive research has shown that when you're creative, your brain is using the same mental building blocks to use every day, like when you figure out a way around a traffic jam. So, like we said, nothing magical is happening with shower moments. You just have to let your brain be relaxed enough and be kind of out of the problem enough to see it in any way. I'll go ahead and show you this article from Mental Floss. This one's very, very reader friendly. So if you're looking for just kind of like a quick understanding of this concept, I would totally encourage you to check this out. Research shows you're more likely to have a creative epiphany when you're doing something monotonous, like fishing, exercising, or showering. Maybe I'm not very good at fishing. Every time I've done it, I get queasy about the worm, but my dad swears by it as a great time to relax and think. I have hunters in my family who say the same. And two more we're going to peek at really quick here. Psychology Today. Maybe you've seen this magazine around. It's been around for a very long time. So here we are talking about working memory. What we think of as our optimal time of day may not be optimal for everything. So this is where we're talking about that prefrontal cortex. Sometimes like that part has to kind of chill out for a little bit in order for you to see a problem in a different way. And this last one's pretty technical, but if you're really getting into this stuff, I would totally encourage you to check this out. And this was Shelly H. Carson, Your Creative Brain, talking about how distraction can actually assist with creativity. All right, cool. Enough of the super brainy stuff. Oh, okay, do we have any questions? What can I answer for you guys? Do we have questions? For some reason, I find it really difficult to start small and build on it. So don't go big. That's what my best friend always does. Like she starts with the hard stuff first. Like she world builds, fills notebooks. I put a question in the question and answer panel. There's a question and there is a question and answer panel. Cool. I didn't know this. I'm finding things. Okay. You guys are all laughing at me. It's fine. Well, these are fantastic. I'm not gonna say names because some of these are definitely like saying like this is something I'm experiencing as a writer, and I doubt you guys. I'm sure it seems like you guys are all pretty comfortable, but I'm just gonna not say names. First question, does my physical body have to be relaxed? Because when I work, I have a lot of shower moments. So I guess my question is, does your brain have to be the only thing relaxing, or does your whole body have to be relaxed? No, it's your brain. because I used to have them a lot when I was in high school and I worked at Taco Bell. And that was like my first real job. Like I worked at a couple other jobs before that. But my first like real, like on your feet, all, you know, really moving and having to work for like 9-10 hours at once, was Taco Bell. And I would have lots of inspiration moments. Um, so yeah, I think that like it's just a matter of getting into a routine. When I first started at Taco Bell, I would have never been able to have those inspirational moments because I was so absorbed in learning it. But then after you learn it and it becomes routine. Somebody said driving earlier. Yeah, I didn't want to mention that because it's like kind of dangerous, but I, I get it all the time when I'm driving. And then I'll end up like, oh, I missed my turn. Like I'm one of those. And it drives my husband crazy and my kids too, drives them crazy. All right. What is a very effective way to get around writer's block? I don't know because I don't get around it. I try to instead like find ways to dissolve it. Or I guess I did say get around it, right? Like I think the problem is that when we think about writer's block, we just assume that we're supposed to just keep beating into it until we come up with something else. And sometimes what I've found when I'm having writer's block, it's actually writer's doubt. And it's me saying anything that I write isn't going to be up to what I want it to be. And when that happens, if I have writer's block and I find myself stuck and I've tried my other techniques, such as walking the dog or doing yoga or whatever, and nothing's clicking, then it's like, all right, I'm going to set my timer for 30 minutes and I'm not going to move and I'm going to write something. It might be something that never sees the light of day. I might control A backspace that whole thing after 30 minutes, but I've gotten something out and I have allowed myself to say that, yes, I am a writer. And now I am going to continue to write, right? So when you're having writer's block, write, even if it's nothing related to what you're actually writing, write something, even if it's just talking, you know, like talking to someone in your family, saying things that you wouldn't maybe that you want to say, but you don't know how, and you start typing it out, whatever, just write. Okay, next question. Oh, there's all kinds of good questions coming in. Cool. I'm so glad I found this. Thanks, guys. How do I find the inspiration to fix hot plot holes that run deep into the story? And is there some kind of method to follow? So I'm going to speak from personal experience here. Sometimes plot holes happen because you've put in too many subplots. So ask yourself, like, is this plot hole something that I need to leave? Can I draw it back to my full narrative? Like you want subplots, right? Like you want there to be other things kind of going on in the background, but you also don't want to distract too much from the real story. So sometimes when I have a plot hole, I'm like, do I even really need that though? Or is there something else that I can develop to make the core of my story stronger? I'm going through a major rewrite right now. And that's something I've been doing is like, but did this part really need to happen? Okay. Oh, I can do answer live. You would like to answer question live. Oh, okay, cool. I know I can do that. What is effective way to get a writer's block done? How do I inspiration done? When I get a shower moment, should I think about the plot line, the world building, or the character building? Which one should I focus on first? I mean, for me, shower moments, you don't get to choose. Like it's not like you're just like, okay, now what am I going to think about for my shower moment? Like it's literally, it feels like you've been slapped in the forehead. Like you're just like, whoa, this is exactly how I want this to happen. For me personally, usually it's plot line. Usually it is like magic. Yeah, for real. But it's not. It's brain science. It feels like magic, but it's not. For me, usually it's plotline stuff. It's like, oh, this is what I want to happen next. Okay. How do you deal with doubt? If you figure that one out, can you let me know? Yeah, for me, seriously, like I force myself to write. Like I just force myself to write regardless. Like if I'm stuck in doubt, and I do the same thing as my best friend, like like I said, she's a Whitey winner. And she was selected for this other huge thing on Twitter. And but she still has really intense doubt. And that's when I make her write. I'm like, go write something. I'm like, you know what? We're gonna come up with a prompt, both of us right now. I don't care what else you're doing. We're both come up with a prompt and we are going to write about it for the next 10 minutes. And then we're gonna come back together just to create something. Create something so that you can at least remember why you're doing what you're doing. Okay. What do you do about getting stuck in the middle of a story where you only have a vague idea of what will happen? So this is back to that old debate of pantsers versus planners. And I don't think one way is any better than the other. So pantsers are people who write by the seat of their pants, which means they come up with stuff as they're like writing. Like they're just kind of like, okay, and then this happens, and then this happens. Planners are the ones who will write the entire plot, full character analyses, whole world building, all that stuff well in advance. Isabel says I'm a planster. Yeah, I mean, like it is definitely a spectrum, right? Like I don't feel like writers really are one or the other, but it's still fun to argue about. So I would say if you are finding yourself stuck in the middle of a story and only have a vague idea of what will happen, you are like me, which means that you are most of the time a pantser, but that doesn't mean that we can't step back and plan. I'm really big into post-it notes. I just pulled my little folder out of my desk here, and I will put elements of my story on post-it notes, and then I start arranging them chronologically. But it's not always a straight line, right? Like sometimes a subplot will go off this way and it'll go off this way. So I live off post-it notes. Yes. Sometimes you end up with it looking like a tree. And when that happens, it allows you to kind of see the flow of the entire story and you can see where those holes are. You have this is not a process for the faint of heart, but if you're finding yourself in the middle and you're like, oh shoot, like what all, pulling all those threads together, right? Like, dang it, like, wait, I have to like start weaving all this together now. That's usually a great time, and it's time to step back and start doing that more deliberate planning. Okay. Do you get shower moments when you're working with your books as you are writing? Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, they're not like as cool, right? Because you're like in the middle of writing, but of course, you know, sometimes you'll be writing and it's like, oh yeah, I totally want this to happen. So it's not that I don't get ideas while I'm writing. Like that article, I think it's the last one said, like the things that our brains are doing when we're having shower moments aren't that far removed from what we're doing when we're writing. It just feels like magic. So very cool. Very cool. What do you do about getting stuck in the middle of a story where you only have a vague idea of what will happen? I think we just talked about that one. Okay. What are good relaxing conditions for shower thoughts? So this is about mindfulness to me. This is very much about like being able to turn off certain things at certain times a day and knowing when it's time to worry about them. Like, what is my focus on right now? And where is my energy going right now? And this is something that I had to learn through yoga. I had to learn it through exercise. I had to learn it through family. Good relaxing conditions. I mean, that's just, to me, that's saying like, how do I find holistic health and wellness? So I know that was vague. Again, I feel like I could do a whole other session about like mindfulness and yoga for writers. I get a lot of inspiration from my dreams. When I wake up, I forget. Is there a way to fix that? Yes, dream journals. I don't do this because usually my ideas that I get from dreams are trash, and I figure if I forget them by the time I wake up, it's worth it. But a lot of people will actually keep journals right by their bed because they wake up and they scribble it down before they forget it. I have sticky notes by my bed. You really do love sticky notes. That's great. World building and development, characters to no end, but I have a hard time with actually writing, connecting the story together. I can come up with bits and pieces of a story when the characters and ideas. So this person sounds like you're looking at overall plot, and I know that it's obnoxious and you're probably going to roll your eyes when I say it, but there is truth in it. The plot pyramid is taught in English class for a reason. That annoying little triangle thing works because that's how 95% of stories are written. And you need to be asking yourself, what is my plot doing to ratchet up the tension to lead to the climax? And how is the climax the payoff moment? If you don't have a clear climax figured out, you need to back up and ask, where is all this going? And you need to then say, how am I going to build up to that through these smaller events? I really like the models of the plot pyramid where it looks like steps going up. You've probably seen those before. That's more what it feels like, where you're going up, up, and it's ratcheting up the tension. So if you're totally stuck and you like, what the heck kind of plot am I looking at? That's where you just have to ask yourself, like, what kind of story do I want to build, and how can I use the plot pyramid at least as a starting point? Okay, I often feel like no one else would like anything I have written. Yeah, same. That's just a confidence thing, and that's where you have to just like build community. Like there have been so many times where I have texted or called my best friend, been like, today's the day I'm gonna quit writing. And she's like, no, just no, you're not, stop it. And she does the same thing. And we understand that like as authors, sometimes you just have those moments and you just work through them together. And it's not just authors, like that's just artists in general. Like, how do I know what idea do I want to pursue? Like it's very much just trying to deal with your confidence in building it that way. Da, da, da,
Should we do maybe two more?
Yeah, sure. I'm trying to look for some that I haven't already. What is the plot pyramid? I'll get my book. I'm gonna draw this and y'all are gonna be like, oh yeah, I totally remember that from English class. It's thing. Ignore my inability. Somebody's doggy's barking. I'm gonna label it for y'all. So this is the classic model that we say darn near all stories follow. I say almost all. A lot of horror stories kind of throw all this out the window. And then we're not going to get into all that. Most stories follow these. Okay. We've got the introduction or exposition, right? Where we're introducing characters, introducing conflict, starting to build our world. Rising action. This is a series of events that lead up and ratchet up in tension, all of them coming together for the sake of the climax. The climax is, if there's something's going to explode, it explodes in the climax. If somebody's going to fall in love or break up, they're going to fall or break up in the climax. Following action explains how the climax affects the characters. Conclusion begins to wrap things up and bring the book to the end. Climax is the final battle. Yes, Evan. Yes. One more question. Do we have time for one more? How do you go from story to story and stay excited to get to the end? I like working on two very, very different things at the same time. And actually, Jacqueline Woodson, if you haven't read anything from her, please do so like now. She's amazing. She actually juggles like 3 or 4 projects at any one time, because when she gets mad at one, she'll just like jump to something else. And then if she gets mad at that one, she'll jump to something else. And I think that is very, very helpful, especially for me, like I write very, very different things. So like I'm working on a teacher book. I'm working on like a nonfiction reader for like middle grades, and I'm working on young adult paranormal. So if I get mad at one, I can just bop to something else. And I think that that helps you stay fresh. It helps you stay passionate, and it helps you be creative, I think.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Shelly. I hope you
Yeah.
learned a ton. I know I did. That was so amazing. So, Shelly, I'm going to ask you to look at the chat window. Okay, guys,
Okay.
remember we're giving away 3 copies of Shelly's amazing YA urban explorer adventure. This is like if you and all your friends ran away from home and lived on the streets and did crazy things. That's how fun this book is.
Is that things don't go well, but yeah.
But it's
I'm always like, please don't do urban exploration. I don't want you to get hurt. Like, I'm not saying that you need to go breaking into places. Please don't do that.
this is not an endorsement for that, but
right.
Anyway, I'm gonna have you watch the panelists, and then if you do win, we're gonna give away 3 copies, and I'm writing the email address right now.
There goes my plans.
Oh, what?
Somebody said there goes my plans.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so this is the email address. If you win, then send your address there, okay? And we'll send you a copy of Shelly's amazing book. So I have 3 questions from the webinar, and they get increasingly harder. And I'm going to have Shelly watch the chat and see who gets it right first. Okay, everybody ready? All right, the first one is, what is a shower moment?
Avery says an aha moment.
Is that a good answer?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, Avery, you see the email address in the chat. Good job. The second question is,
hold on, I gotta scroll down. Everybody's like, ah.
I'm proud of all of you for answering.
Yep.
Good job. It's
okay.
It's beneficial to be a fast typist in this situation, huh? Okay, the second one is, smart people are blank more frequently. Oh,
Distracted. There it comes. Y'all remember that because you're like, this is what I'm going to tell my mom next time I forget something. Michaela said it first.
Okay, I think, was it Michaela or, oh, yep, you're right. Okay, awesome.
I'm seeing Michaela first. Is that right?
Yep, I saw Ash, but he was right after her. So good job, Michaela. Okay. And the third,
we distracted by those aha moments. These kids are funny.
I think you guys all have good things to tell your parents now. Why you need to take long showers, why you're easily distracted, so many good things. Okay, the last question is, give us it doesn't have to be completely 100%, but what's a good definition of mindfulness? Okay, a little bit more than being mindful.
Being aware, I think, is the first good one that I'm like, yes, that was Brooke.
Being aware.
Brooke has obviously had some kind of training or something in mindfulness.
Okay, awesome. Brooke, congratulations.
Brooke has done things.
Brooke has done things. I think all of you are so brilliant, and I'm so glad you would come tonight. And yeah, tell Shelly what an amazing job she did. I hope you all learned a lot. And yeah, go check out her book. She's got the link on Amazon. It's called The Ghost and the Wolf, and a super fun book. And follow her on Instagram because she's hilarious and entertaining, and you would love it. Okay, so any final thoughts you want to say, Shelly? Or
no, just like, remember that you are your best friend and your own enemy. So do everything you can to create conditions that are favorable for writing, and keep writing a story in your own mind that says that you are successful and you are an artist in whatever you're trying to create. Excellent advice. Thank you so much. Thank you all for being here. And yes, come back.
The first Wednesday of every month. I saw a few people asking that. So yay. Thank you, Shelly. Thank you
No
all for being
problem. Thanks
here.
for having me, guys. Good to see you.